Hey everyone, Wes here with another Scratch lesson for you. This is Code Club's lesson 3 and this is fireworks. So we're going to build a firework display and it's going to take place over a city. We're going to have rockets taking off, fireworks exploding and changing colour, loads of stuff. But one thing we don't need is poor Felix here. So let's get rid of him by right clicking and deleting him and start with a blank canvas. So if you go to the Scratch website, you can create an account, create a project, and then you'll be set. All set, ready to go. And if you check out our previous videos, you can see a couple of early lessons and an introduction to the Scratch interface. They'll take you around and give you a tour, make you a bit more familiar before you start doing this lesson. So as I said, this is fireworks. This is taking place over a cityscape. So we can pick a new background and we go with city with water. And then what we need is a sprite. So we need a sprite for our rocket. Now, each of these lessons comes with some resource files. So these are sprites, sound files, etc. that you might need. There are obviously loads that you get with Scratch as well, but there are some specific ones for these lessons. So when all these are loaded up, well, you don't need to see all these. Anyway, close that. If we open Sprite from File, you can find the exact sprite you need for this lesson, which is Rocket. Now, all of these resource files are available with the Code Club lesson materials in the link in the description. So grab that zip file. It's got everything you need in it. Unpack that, and it'll be all these files easily labeled so you know exactly what goes with what lesson. So here we pick the rocket. We got that on the screen, and we can put that wherever we want. But we need to make that rocket do some stuff. So first thing we're going to make it do, strangely, is disappear. So we're going to select our sprite down here, hit the events section, and pick when green flag clicked. And then we're going to go into looks and pick hide. So by doing that, when we click this green flag up here, and when my browser stops being funny, we can instantly hide our rocket. Now, admittedly, we'd like to get that back as well. So we're going to go into events again, click when space key pressed. And when we press that, we're going to go into looks. And we want to show our rocket. So now, if I run that again and press my space bar, there you go, it appears. But it'd also be nice if that rocket could move somewhere. Then we want it to try and move towards the mouse pointer. So in motion here, we can put go to X and Y, but what we want it to do is glide towards a point. We want that point to be the mouse pointer. So let's see what we can find for that. The blocks I'm looking for don't appear to be here, so that's interesting. Anything in more blocks? Sensing. There we go. Mouse X and mouse Y are what I need. It's because the colours are all confused. So in motion, we want glide towards. But then if we go into sensing, we can pick mouse X and mouse Y. So rather than having specific numbers, which are representative coordinates, i.e. points within this space, we're going to use mouse X and mouse Y, which reference the position of the mouse horizontally and vertically. So now we've got that. If we start our program again, you'll see the rocket is hidden. But if I move my mouse over here and press space, the rocket moves towards it. And we can reset the program and do that. And it will continually move towards it. Now, the problem is we could do with that rocket not starting from wherever it finished last time. So we might need to do something about that as well. So, next bit of code we want is we want to reset our rocket. So we're going to do that by finding the go to. So in our motion section, we have a go to X and Y. And we're going to insert that above the show. So that's going to reset our rocket. But we want to reset it to wherever the mouse is horizontally, but not vertically. So if we go into sensing and pick mouse X, and I'll explain this in a moment, and then we set a value for Y. So if we say -200, for example, that is down. Minus is down. Positive numbers are up. And the bottom left, I think, is 0, 0. So if you do the minus 200, it's like down here somewhere off the screen, which is exactly what we want. So if we run this now, the rocket should be off the screen and come on. You can see, and it goes in a straight line towards my mouse. Now, if I reset that and run it again, if I press space and move my mouse, see, it doesn't track the mouse. It just glides to the position of where the mouse was and goes straight up, which is exactly what we want for a rocket. You don't want your rocket going astray. That's dangerous. So, now, what we can do now is we can make this work with a mouse button rather than the space bar. Because the space bar is all well and good, but your mouse might be over here. And watch what happens if I do that. So if I start my program and I press space over here, you don't even see it. Well, you do see the rocket, but it's kind of stuck on the side of the screen. That's not good. It'd be great if we could just click here and the rocket will fly towards it. So in our hide block over here, we're going to add a forever loop. So a bit of control. We're going to pick that forever. We're going to stick it after the hide. And then we're going to select an if statement. So we want control again. We're going to go put the if in the forever. So we're going to loop around here forever, ever, 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 ever. And then while we're doing that, every time we come around, we're going to do if something then. And in this case, we're going to select mouse down. So here's mouse down. Slot that in there. And then we're going to take our go-to from over here, pull that off, pull these bits off. In fact, no, we're going to stick them together because we need all of it. So we're going to take all of that and slot it nicely into there. So we can get rid of this when space pressed. So what happens now is we loop around. To start with, we hide our rocket, then we come into the loop, and every time we come around, we say, is the mouse button held down? If it is, go to the point off the screen, then show the rocket, then glide. So let's see what happens. Oop. Oh, my browser's being funny. When we do this, oh, and my mouse isn't down. What's going on there then? So, why is that firing the rocket off? My mouse isn't down. Mouse down, mouse down. Oh, I think it's because when I click on the green flag, clicking on the green flag is the mouse down click. Maybe we don't want that. We'll carry on through the lesson and find out how that corrects itself. So we also want at the end to hide. Once it's got to the mouse, we want to hide it. We don't want it to stay there because we're going to explode it. So if I click that, now I still think there's a better option here than mouse down. We've got space bars. Well, we'll see, because at the moment, oh, there we go. Once I run my program, the first time it runs, annoyingly, it goes to where you've clicked up here. But after that, it goes wherever you click, which is exactly what I want. It's just that first time round that's kind of annoying. I don't know how we solve that, but I will look at that and work that out. But for now, it's doing what we want over here. So that's good. Okay, next up. We need to control what happens when the rocket gets to the mouse. We want it to explode. So what we want to do is make the rocket send a message to say, I've reached the mouse, now I'm going to go boom. Okay? And we do that through broadcasting a message. So if we look in our events section, we can do broadcast message. So let's pull that and put that in there. And we'll have a new message and we'll call it explode. So that will then send this message when it gets to the point where it needs to explode. Okay, so we need to upload the sprite we want. Let's go with firework 1. And we'll wait for that to upload patiently. So how this works, again, you have your rocket, which broadcasts a message when it reaches the point that it wants to explode. And then we can have the sprite for the explosion appear. So we've got our sprite for the explosion selected. We need to have that appear where the rocket is and explode. And it needs to react to that explosion. So if we pick when I receive explode, you can see they've got that old message. We want explode in there. Then we can pick the looks. I'm going to say hide first. Then we're going to select go to rocket. So we're going to move. And now we want to go to rocket. And then we're going to click, or rather show the firework. And then we're going to just put a little delay in there just to slow things down so it doesn't go crazy. Put a little weight in there. And then we're going to hide it again. Let's see what happens when we do that. And I'll explain this in a minute. So you can see when I click here, the sprite appears. Now it's interesting that the sprite isn't visible at the start of the program. So if I reset this and play, the sprite isn't visible. Now this code would have suggested to me that it would be because it only hides itself when it receives explode. And I would think we'd need like, I don't know, a hide all or something to happen at the start, but it's okay. It's working as we would expect. We run that program again. Click over here. Over here. Run it again. Actually, it does seem to be visible from being left over. So maybe if we we'll tweak this a little bit. We'll have a green flag in there as well. And we'll have hide in there. So that when we start, it's hidden. And then only when we click does it appear. That's better, I think. So we've got this will happen when we click the green flag, and this will happen when the rocket reaches the mouse pointer. Now, we want to make the explosions cool and interesting and unique, so we're going to change the color of them and make them do funky stuff. So in our looks section again, we're going to change the color, and that's nice and easy. We've got a change color effect here, and we've got a set color effect. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to set it rather than change it. And we're going to insert that there. But we want to make it random. We don't just want to set it to the same color every time. So in our operators section, you can pick a random number. And we're going to do 1 to 200. That just gives us lots of variation. Oop, not 2000. Lots of variation in the possible colors we might have, because every color here is a different number. So let's see what happens when we run that. You can see we get a green one, we get a blue one, we got a purple one, another blue one, and a turquoise one. So lots of variation in colours there. Nice and easy to do that. Very, very simple. But what's next? Okay, well, when rockets explode, they don't just magically turn into a big explosion. What they do is they grow. The explosion grows from a small spark all the way up to a big twinkling explosion. So what we'll do is we'll try and make our sprite start small and get bigger. So the first thing we need to do is make it smaller. So if we set its size before we show it, actually we'll do it after we show it, or maybe we should do it before. I think we should do it before. And we set that to 5%. If we were to run that now, when you see it explode, you're not going to see much. You see a couple of dots on the screen where the mouse is. See those dots? That's our explosion. That's how small it's starting. And we're going to change its size gradually. So we want it to continuously get bigger until it reaches the point where it's 100% or more, however big you want to make it. So we're going to use another loop. And this time we're going to use a new loop. We're going to use repeat. Now repeat means go round and round and round and round, but only for this amount of time. So we pick repeat and put it here. Oh, didn't want to do that. Take those out. In fact, we don't really need the weight, I think. We can put the hide there. Let's get rid of the weight for a minute. So we've got set the size to small, show the new sprite, and then repeatedly get bigger. So we need something in here to increase the size, and we need to loop a number of times. We're going to loop 50 times, and we're going to increase the size by 2. So if we say change size by 2, I think that means it gets twice as big. 50 times. We'll see. My maths head isn't on, so let's have a go. You see, it gets bigger. And it's different colours every time. How cool is that? That's a proper firework. Almost. Because one thing this doesn't have at the moment is it doesn't have any sound effects. So we could do with some sound effects, really. We could do with making it go bang. Now, for safety's sake, there is one change we can make to our rocket sprite. You see that we've got this broadcast explode. Well, there's another option, broadcast and wait. And if we use that, it'll just slow things down a little and make sure that if we start clicking the mouse all over the place or hold the mouse button down, things don't go a little bit silly. So if we start that, you'll see that now nothing will happen. We won't fire any more rockets until that one firework has done its business. Okay? And that just slows this loop down so that things don't go crazy. So that's a handy little thing just to put in. You can take that out if you want and just put the broadcast explode back in, and that'll allow you to run the program a bit like this. So if we stop it and run it again, you can now go click, click, click and fire off loads of fireworks at the same time. We still haven't got our bang sound though. We need to put our bang sound in first. So if we have the broadcast explode, so what we want in here before this is we want to put our sound in. So if we go to our sound section and play sound, we can put that in. Where should we put that? I think we'll put it just before the hide, I think. So we're going to glide to the mouse. Once we got to the mouse, we're going to play the sound. So let's load a sound in. So you can see here we've got our sounds. We can add a new sound from file, and there's a sound in our resources called bang. So we'll put that in. I might need to boost the volume up here so you can pick this up when it goes. Let's test that. Oh, that actually includes the rocket sound as well. So if we go back, before we do the glide, put that back in, detach that, slot that back in there, and slot that there. So it's going to actually play that sound before the rocket starts moving, because we've got the rocket sound and the bang. It's not just a bang. And a minute we've got pop in here, so we need to select bang. Okay, so there's our code now. We start our program again. Fantastic. But you see, if I start clicking really quickly, the sound gets overridden. So that's another good reason why you might want to take that one out. Go back into control, events, and put broadcast and wait. Because that way, the sound and everything will finish before you can interrupt it. There you go. That's fireworks for you. That's a really, really simple, straightforward way to create a fireworks display. You'd imagine that would take way more code than we've used there. But look, let me stop that for a minute. You've got literally the code on 2 sprites. Not very many lines at all. Dead easy. And a backdrop. Simple stuff. Anyone could do it. Now it's your turn. Have a try. See how you get on and play around with it. Change some of the fireworks sprites. Maybe you have multiple rockets going off at once. You can do a whole host of things. Maybe you want to record your own sound to make it play some weird noise when the rocket explodes. All of that's up to you. Check out those other previous videos if you haven't already to look at the earlier lessons. We'll have another lesson for you very soon. I hope you enjoyed this. And of course, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the lessons. And if you've got any questions, leave a comment below and I will answer them as soon as I possibly can. But if you'd like to reach me more directly, you can drop me an email to codeclubmk@gmail.com. That's codeclubmk@gmail.com.